Hey, I want to switch gears just for a second. What did you think of the Back to the Beginning this weekend? Did you watch it?
Oh, you kidding me? I was at, it's a quick little story in 93, I think it was. We were at A&M Studios in Los Angeles, and we were recording our record, Animals of Human Intelligence. And tons of rock stars and musicians and people outside of the business would come by and visit us while we were making this record it was with Arista Records and Clive Davis.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in the room with Stan Lynch from Tom Petty's band and just dissecting his songs. He just loved our band. It was really inspirational for us because it was during that whole change of the guard in the music business with, like as I mentioned earlier, with Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, and Nirvana. And a lot of bands were rooting for it. We were the underdog at that time. A lot of people were rooting for us. And across the hall, Ozzy was in there in his studio, and he had a sign on the door that said, "Absolutely no fucking admittance." And we said, "No, that's kind of funny." So then Donnie and I put a sign together that said, "Absolutely no admittance except if you have the following: coke, crack, heroin, pot, alcohol, Vicodin, Valium, all the different drugs we have." It was a whole list. And then one of the guys came by the studio and said, "Chip, can we borrow your bass? We're doing overdubs, and Mike Inez wants to play your 12-string bass that you got from Tom Peterson from Cheap Trick."
Right.
And I gave him my bass guitar. And, I didn't see it for a week or so. And I was wondering, and I didn't need it because we were tracking. I had my 4-string old precision bass with me. But I was wondering when I'm going to get that bass back. It's been over a week. And I asked one of the girls at the desk at the A&M Studios, if you see Ozzy come out and go outside, please just text me or send me a message in my phone, and I can I'll run outside. I won't tell the rest of my band so they can't get a chance to wreck that chance of shaking hands. And I didn't want to frighten Ozzy and scare him.
Right.
And lo and behold, they called me a couple of days later and said, "Yeah, Ozzy's outside right now." So I ran outside quietly, didn't tell the guys what I was doing. And there he is, just standing out on the steps out there. I go, "Hey, Oz, how you doing?" He goes, "Hello, mate." And I said, he goes, "You have any fags?" And I had these red Dunhill cigarettes. I used to break the filter off of them.
Right.
And I go, here, you like these Dunhills? They're English. And he's like, I don't think they're English. Maybe they're not, but I thought they were. And he smoked them. And I said, "Oh, I see you're walking kind of funny." And he goes, "You try doing a gram of cocaine and drinking a quart of Jack Daniels and see how you fucking walk." And I go, "Oh, pardon me. I didn't want to be disrespectful." He goes, No, it's okay. And he goes, "Let me have another cigarette." He was like taking 3 puffs off and throwing the cigarettes out. And I didn't care how he gave him the whole pack if he wanted.
Ozzy. Hey.
And then I said, "Ozzy," I really, I love the stuff that you've done solo. Of course, we all love the Black Sabbath stuff. I go, but I mean, I've seen that you've acquired a Brinks truck of tattoos on you. And I go, I must be a big pussy because I don't have one tattoo on me. He says, "You want to be original? Don't get a fucking tattoo." And I thought that's kind of good. I felt good. He made me feel comfortable there. Yeah. And Tommy Lee came by too, and Tommy Lee was hanging out in the studio too, who at one time was a big Enough's Enough fan, believe it or not. And I thought, this is kind of great that these guys are all hanging out in the studio, supporting each other. And I smoked another 3 cigarettes with Ozzy. For 20 minutes, the guy smoked almost half a pick of cigarettes with me.
Yeah.
And it was just charming beyond belief. He really was a really nice guy. He loved the Beatles beyond belief too. And he knew a lot about Enough's history as far as Beatles goes, because we've always loved that kind of stuff. And he went back to the studio, and the following day I got my 12-string bass back. And I didn't even mention it to him during our conversation.
Right.
And on the back of it, it said, a bunch of tape was on the back of it, and it was written in there, "Fuck those commie pigs." And it was Zakk Wylde that wrote on the back of the bass because they had some peace signs on there. And I thought that was kind of interesting, seeing as I beat him in arm wrestling 2 out of 3 in Nashville back in the 90s, but maybe he's still holding a grudge. I love him dearly, by the way. I love him in Pantera too, my old label mates. But Ozzy was the kind of guy that when you meet him in person, genuinely kind and loving beyond belief. And if you were in the business at all, he respected that because he knows what a cesspool it is to make a record and to continue to have the trajectory of chasing that carrot at the end of the day. I have nothing but respect for him. So when I watched that big special with Black Sabbath and seen all the bands that came in there and paid respect to him, that was very touching. And one of the highlights for me was watching the old Youngblood. It's fantastic. Dom is a great singer. He commanded the crowd.
I had never heard of Youngblood before, and he did changes unbelievable. Like, I got chills.
Yeah, he's a solid cat. He's good with the fans, and I take the same approach he does, except he's much bigger than I am as far as commercial success wise. But he goes out there and he's very loving to his audience, and he's easy to get to, and you could talk to him, and he's accessible. And where most rock stars back in the 60s and 70s and 80s weren't, you hit out and you couldn't get a hold of him, you couldn't talk to him. Right. Nowadays, it's a little bit different. And that's one thing that is pleasantly surprising and charming about young Blizz. Not only does he have a beautiful set of pipes, but he loves his fans. He knows where he comes from.